you guys more confident home buyers. When you guys move forward to purchase that home of your dream, and each of you will, right? That's why we're here today. We're making a first step, right? Right? Each of you guys are going to move forward to purchase that home of your dreams. My job is to make sure that that dream home doesn't become a nightmare, right? With endless repair costs, endless things that needs to be fixed, endless unknown issues at the house, right? That's my job, right? To remove that fear factor. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is 5 of the biggest mistakes that people make during the home inspection experience. And of course, I'll give you guys tips on how to avoid making those mistakes. Is that good or good? It's pretty good, right? Before we jump into that, to put an event like this together, it takes a real estate professional that's truly committed to her clients, a real estate professional that's just passionate about their work. For Cynthia, please give Cynthia a huge round of applause. For putting this together, because I tell you guys, there's a lot of professionals that are online and they are talking, but they're not getting it done. Justin, in terms of getting it done, how we get this mouse rolling. So again, my name is Corwin Jackson. I'm the owner of the Core Inspection Group. We're one of the region's largest home inspection companies. Typically every year, we are completing north of 1,500 home inspections. Last year, we completed 1,782. One of the questions that I'm going to pose for you guys, what's the difference between a home inspection and an appraisal? What's the difference between those two items, a home inspection and an appraisal? Anyone? What you got?
With an inspection, you're looking for problems in the home, like leaks.
Yep, and then how does that differ from the appraisal? How does that differ?
From the, with the appraisal, I guess you're trying to figure out how much the property is actually worth.
That's exactly it. So the appraiser, right? The appraiser's coming out and he's working for who? He's working for the bank, right? And he's trying to figure out, hey, if I'm going to go to the big money guy right here, right, and I'm going to get you guys approved for a loan, how much is the home really worth? Right? That's what the appraiser is working to figure out. The home inspector, we're trying to figure out what things are working properly versus the things that need to be fixed, repaired, replaced, right? That's critically important. Typically, like I'm on a home inspection, they'll wait until your realtor extraordinaire Cynthia kind of walks away for a bit, and they'll pull me over. They'll say, "Hey man, is this house really worth that?" Right? They'll pull me close and ask that question. But guess what? You guys are hiring a different professional that's going to tell you exactly what the house is worth. So 2 completely different professions. We understand that?
Yeah.
Perfect. So one of the things that I want you guys to keep in mind is when you are scheduling a home inspection, that home inspector is going something by essentially a scope of work, right? Hey, here are the things that they hired me to inspect. What you guys want to be mindful of is there's also something called ancillary services, which meaning in addition to, right? I'll give you guys a few examples, because one of the things that you guys want to have an inspection for is something called termite activity, right? So when we start talking about termite activity, I'm sure at some point you guys seen the cartoon where the termites kind of come in a swarm. They go around the house once. Look, I'm not the oldest one here. I'm not the only one that's seen that cartoon, right? They go around the house once, around the house twice, and then now the house is like reduced to ashes, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way in real life, right? In real life, and by the way, we all call it termite activity, but it's actually wood destroying insect, because you have carpenter bees, carpenter ants, wood boring beetles, all those things that we as home inspectors, we get really excited about, right? All those things are out hunting for the wood, right? We need termites in nature. We need them in an ecosystem. We cannot thrive without them as humans. Who wants to guess why? Why do we need termites? Why are they important? Who wants to guess?
I want you to tell me, because they
I'm sorry? They're important. They're important because termites are going out and they're hunting for the wood that has fell, right? The wood is no longer alive. They're going to harvest on that, turn it back into soil so we can continue to grow, live, thrive, right? So they're constantly turning that back into soil, right? Turning that back into the earth. So that's what happens when the trees fall. But Unfortunately, they just have not gotten.
Would have been totally different.
Is it, all right, you gonna tell me that
I
a little
was
bit
thinking
later, right?
because they was eating, like, they could eat the mold off of the wood or something like that.
Oh, I wish I had some termite, some mold eating
I mean,
termites.
I didn't
Man, you know, we may have to engineer that, right? Don't get me going on mold, you know, we'll have to touch it for a bit. No, so sure, so we need them in the ecosystem, right? They just have not gotten the word that, guess what, we are using this dead wood to build our homes, right? So when we start to think about like ancillary services, right, there are some services that you guys want to elect for when you schedule the inspection, right? There was a time that lenders actually required some of those inspections. Quick question, is a home inspection required to purchase a home? Absolutely not.
But he's smart.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not,
I
but
mean-
it's smart, right? Because this is likely the biggest financial investment that you are going to make. Purchasing a home, right? So we want that professional to come in there to determine, hey, what's functioning properly versus things that need to be fixed, repaired, and replaced, right? So right here, this photo is essentially showing us issues with termites, right? These are something called shelter tubes, and that's what the home inspector is looking for. Termites are blind; they cannot see. They built those mud tubes as a highway, essentially, to travel throughout. Then we'll talk about one of the questions I get a lot, particularly from buyers. Is there any mold issues in the house? Are there any mold concerns? Unfortunately, like if we're just doing a regular home inspection and this isn't elected for, the home inspector, he's not gonna know, he's not gonna have a clue. The reason for that is mold spores are typically traveling through the air. We use something called air cassettes, right? Those air cassettes is gonna pull in air samples, right? Those cassettes are then sent off to the lab where it's put under a microscope to determine that, right? So we can do air quality, we can do air cassettes, but the challenge is, if this isn't done, like, we don't have, like, mold sniffing termites, right? Or it's not mold sniffing, I'm gonna use that one forever, by the way. I'm gonna use that one forever, by the way, right? So, I guess what I want you guys to take away from the conversation with the ancillary services is if there is something that you are particularly concerned about, you wanna make sure you bring that up to the inspector so that, you know, we know, hey, is this a service that we should be adding, right? Another one that comes up a lot is a sewer scope inspection. Has anyone ever heard of that? So essentially, the sewer scope inspection, that's the ability to take a camera and put it into an underground waste line where we can trace that drain line all the way out to the street. It's gonna tell us if it's failed, if there's tree roots in there, if there's a blockage, all that type of fun stuff, right? That's important because to replace that underground waste line, who wants to take a guess? Like an average cost?
$50,000.
What you got?
I said $50,000.
Any other guess? So if we're out in the counties, right, like, oh man, we're gonna put this into existence right now. Your dream home is gonna be amazing, right? And I know it is because hers costs $50,000 just to replace that underground drain line. So we sitting on at least an acre, 3-car garage. What else on that wish list? Let me know. What else is on there?
Not
We
yet,
gotta
not
put it
yet,
to the
not-
universe.
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet, and we gotta put it to the universe.